In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can land a six-figure GovTech career. This is going to be a full-length GovTech career course, and it's going to be completely for free. In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how the GovTech industry has changed my life and how I was able to get into the industry just by getting one tech certification. I didn't have any experience whatsoever, and you can do the same thing as well. The GovTech industry has allowed me to go from probably being where you are. I used to work 3 jobs, 7 days a week, and I was not making a whole lot of money to now working only one job and making over $200,000 a year. I'm able to buy the cars that I want. I have properties in multiple states, and I'm able to take my family on trips whenever they want to go anywhere. So I've been able to live a pretty good lifestyle from what the GovTech industry has provided me, and a role in GovTech can allow you to do the same thing. So before we go any further, if you don't know who I am, my name is Symoné, and I've been in GovTech literally my entire life. So the picture over here on the left, that's when I was 18 years old, working 3 jobs, 7 days a week. At that time, I was working at Kids Foot Locker, making $5.25 an hour. I was also working at Kids Polo, making $7.25 an hour. And I also had a GovTech help desk internship that had sponsored me for my government security clearance. So I consider this like really my big start because that's where I got sponsored for the clearance at. But now I've been in GovTech for over 16 years now, and I'm a radar system engineer. And getting into GovTech at 16 years old, it allowed me to start to see this industry from really a different angle. I don't have a military background or anything like that. I had got one certification, which was at the time the CompTIA A+ certification, which allowed me to get into this industry with literally no experience at all. I ended up going to college on a scholarship, and I got my bachelor's in computer science, and I also had an internship with the federal government where they were paying for my classes as well. So that's another big benefit for when it comes to working in GovTech. When I ended up graduating from college, I worked as an embedded software engineer. I also did radar system engineering work overseas. I've lived in countries like Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea. I've also worked different roles for different kind of programs inside of the GovTech industry. So I've worked different radar programs. I've worked SIGINT, which is signal intelligence programs. I've also worked on different UAV or UAS programs as well, right? Like those big drones that fly around, taking pictures, things like that. And I've worked on satellite programs as well. So I have a vast background when it comes to working in GovTech. So I've pretty much seen it all, but I like to work in the radar space. And I've been making over $200,000 a year since the age of 25. So I was able to literally do all of this through GovTech, and I've been able to help hundreds of other people break into the GovTech industry as well and make 6 figures in this career too. Landing a role in GovTech has also helped hundreds of other people break into this industry as well, and it's completely changed their life. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can change your life getting into the GovTech industry too. So here we have Ken on the left. So Ken, he is somebody who ended up following my blueprint, and he sent me a DM of his job offer saying that he got a $100,000 job offer. He was just waiting on the background and drug test to clear, but he said he had got into working in ServiceNow and working in the GovTech space. He said he got his certification, landed a sysadmin role paying $55K, and then not even a year later, he was making $100,000. And then we have Obed here as well. He sent me this message in Slack. He said, "Good morning. I accepted the offer, and my start date is somewhere mid-March." And he said, "Thanks a lot to you and your team for prepping me professionally to take on these opportunities. Going from $35,000 in the Army to $95,000 on my first job post-military service, it's only up from here." I have more people that I've helped as well. Not only do I work in GovTech, but I've also referred my cousin and my brother to work in GovTech too. So they both have gotten into the industry. And this is my little brother. He is actually working out in Bahamas right now. He's working overseas. He got this contract, and he's making 6 figures tax-free. So here was just a picture that he had sent me. He was out in the ocean catching lobsters. He's living a really dope life. And that's what I like about GovTech, is that you have so many different ways to work in this industry. You can work in the States, you can work remotely from home, or you can decide to work overseas like how I did, or my cousin and my brother have done as well. So here's somebody else from Twitter. He had just tweeted this yesterday. He says, "Shout out to God and Simone B's. I interviewed for a role on Tuesday, and I got offered the job today. He's moving out to Kuwait." So literally, even if you do not have any experience being in this industry, you're able to get into this industry and choose to work how you like. Like I said, whether it's in the States or overseas, and I'm gonna walk you through all of that inside of this free course. And if you're somebody who's already working in tech and you just can't get over that hump to get to the 6-figure mark, here's one of my clients, Nixon. He sent me a text saying that I basically 3 times my annual income. Last year, he had made $76,000, and that year he was on track to make $220,000, right? He literally almost 3x his income just by working with me one-on-one. So you're gonna get all of this free game and these gems about how you can get into the GovTech industry. So first, what is GovTech? What type of industry is this? What background do you need to get in? So GovTech is basically working in the government technology industry, right? So what you do when you work in GovTech, you could work for the federal government or you can work as a government contractor. I myself work as a government contractor for government contractor companies, and that's pretty much where I like to stay at because you make more money, you have more flexibility, and you end up doing a lot of cool work. That's how I decided to work in this industry. When you work in GovTech, it's extremely important for you to end up working in roles that are considered mission critical. So if you've been watching the news lately, you might have been seeing talks of mission critical contracts or mission critical work that's being done for the government, and that's exactly where you want to be at as a GovTech professional. So being mission critical, that just means that you are supporting the Department of Defense, DoD, or you're supporting an intelligence agency. So supporting an agency like CIA, NSA, CISA, FBI, DARPA, NGA, agencies like those, right? So any of the intelligence agencies, if you support DoD or Intel and you have a government security clearance, most likely you're doing mission critical work. So that's pretty much where you want to stay at. And the government technology industry has been around literally forever. So this industry is something that you can literally work for the rest of your life, your entire career. When it comes to how this industry works, I want to break down the dynamics between federal government and government contractors, what that really means to work for either directly the federal government or to work for a government contractor company, and what that means for you when it comes to job opportunities. There's so much opportunity working in GovTech. On average, the government spends over $100 billion a year just on government technology infrastructure. So if you work in this industry, there's so much work that needs to be done. If you're a government technology professional, you can work in different career fields where you're able to always have a job just because of the fact that the government has all of these contracts that have been awarded that are mission critical that always need to be worked on. So for you as a future GovTech professional, you will always have plenty of work to do. GovTech has over a 15% growth rate, and the average tech salary as a GovTech professional is over $120,000 a year. Recently, Clearance Jobs, which is a job board platform, and you've been on my channel before, you've seen me talk about it, but they come out with a salary report every single year where they go out and they interview different professionals that have government security clearances. And on average, somebody who has a government security clearance, they make over $100,000 a year. So if you get your foot in the door in this industry, you are guaranteed to make 6 figures a year for the rest of your life. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that. So back to how this whole government technology industry works. Remember, I was telling you that you can work as either a federal government employee or you can work as a government contractor company. So this here diagram is pretty much going over that same concept. So the way that the GovTech industry works is the federal government is at the top of the pyramid, okay? So anytime that the government needs some work done, what the government is going to do is put out a RFP, which is a request for proposal, where they're going to put out exactly what it is that they want done and see what companies can do it best. So for example, I always like to use this example. Let's say the government needs a website created, right? The government, instead of them trying to build the website themselves, what the government is going to do is say, who can build us this website? This is what we want the website to do. Who can build it? How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take for you to do it? And what type of professionals or personnel do you need to get this work done? So then you have the prime government contractors that will respond to that request for a proposal that the government has put out. And once they respond to the request for a proposal that the government put out, then the government will select the company that they want to go with to actually perform the work. So that's where that federal government and government contractor dynamic comes in at, because I see a lot of people seeing things on the news and they aren't really sure about how it works to be a employee at a government contractor company and which government contracts that they should work on. All right. And for prime contractors, those are all the big names like the Lockheed Martins, the Northrop Grummons, Raytheon, Leidos, Booz Allen Hamilton, L3 Harris, General Dynamics, right? Those are the big companies that are prime contractors. Also, you can't forget Boeing, right? They're another prime government contractor. And then from there, you have subcontractors that work with the primes to get the work done. So that's why you'll see, let's say Lockheed Martin, they get awarded a contract, but then they go go and they hire Raytheon, and then they also hire Boeing, and then they also hire General Dynamics to help them get the work done to complete these projects. So that's why there's just so much work that's available in the government technology industry, and this work will always be around, because once that contract is awarded and it's mission critical, there's no going back and just saying like, hey, you know, never mind, we don't need you to do that, right? The government's going to need this work done, because mission critical work is what keeps the United States safe. And the last type of way that you can work in the government technology industry is to be a 1099 contractor. But once you get your experience up, you could be a 1099 contractor and work directly with either the federal government, or you could work directly with one of the prime contractors, and you could make 3 times the money. So this is pretty much the pyramid of how the GovTech ecosystem works, and something to just keep in mind for whenever you're looking at jobs and whenever you're trying to figure out what contract should I work on, what program should I end up supporting. So who's eligible to work in the GovTech industry? All right, so when it comes to working in the GovTech industry, you have to be a US citizen to work in the GovTech industry. And the reason why you need to be a US citizen is because this is US GovTech that we're talking about here. So when you're a US citizen, it allows you to be able to potentially get sponsored for a government security clearance, and going to get a government security clearance and going through that process, they're going to look into your background. They're going to look and see, you know, what is it that you've been doing. A lot of people get very nervous and concerned about the background check when you're getting a government security clearance, but I typically just like to tell people that when you're going through that clearance process, as long as you do not have like a really bad background, right? You know, you're not a terrorist, you don't have terrorist ties, and if you don't have a felony, you should pretty much be good to go. There are instances where people who do have felonies or misdemeanors are able to get into this industry, but it is case by case, and there's really no guarantee. So since this is the GovTech industry, you are going to need to build up those technical skills if you don't have them already. So once you build up the right technical skills and you get the right tech certifications, it'll allow you to apply to opportunities that are in the GovTech industry. So now that we've covered what GovTech is, how the whole ecosystem works, now let's get into the first step that you need to take to land a GovTech role. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is get certifications and start learning your tech skills, right? So when it comes to GovTech, the government is very particular about who they allow to work for them and the background and qualifications that they have. So whenever the government contractor companies are trying to do work for the government, they're going to say, hey, we need somebody who has these specific certifications and these specific backgrounds, because that way we know that you have the right people in place to actually do this work that we're trying to get done. First, if we just start off at the bottom, the government, they have these IT certifications that they really value, and these IT certifications are called the DoD 8570 is what it used to be called, but now it's 8140. They're all pretty much the same certifications. We're not going to go too deep on it, but really to get started in the GovTech industry, the Security Plus certification is 100% needed. So your first step is going to be the Security Plus certification. This certification is going to allow you to work in roles where you'll be able to have full access to government systems. So you'll be able to get root access or administrative access. The government, they don't want anybody to have full access to their system if they don't know if you have some security background or security knowledge. By getting that CompTIA Security Plus, the government knows, okay, this person should at least know how to keep our passwords safe, not leak our passwords online, you know, not write down passwords or give the wrong people access to our systems. So with these certifications that you see here, some people decide to go a step further and deeper into networking and get their CCNA certification. That's another certification that the government does value, but it's not going to unlock those doors into like help desk roles or into, let's say, cybersecurity roles that a lot of people want to get into. CCNA will help you with networking opportunities, but you'll see a lot of times when you look at job postings, they'll ask you to have the Security Plus and the CCNA certification, because that combines the security knowledge with the networking knowledge as well. And if anybody's interested in getting into GRC type of roles, the SSCP certification is a good entry-level certification that you can get as well, that I'd recommend that you look into alongside the Security Plus. So for anybody who already has a couple certifications and you're wondering where you should go next, if you're interested in cybersecurity, the CompTIA CYSA Plus is a great certification that you can look into. This certification will open up doors into cybersecurity analyst roles for you. you. You also have the CISA certification. So if anybody's interested in GRC and IT auditing, CISA certification is a great one to get. CEH certification is Certified Ethical Hacker. This one alone is not going to get you a job, especially if you don't have any experience, but it is a great certification that the government respects as well, and it will open up a lot of doors for you as a cybersecurity professional. So just focus on getting the Security Plus. It will open up so many doors for you in GovTech. I ended up getting the Security Plus, and it's what allowed me to double my GovTech salary. I went from making $72,500 a year to $140,000 a year just with the CompTIA Security Plus. All right, so just focus on that cert. And if you need to know how to get the Security Plus certification, I have a video on my YouTube channel where you can watch how to get the Security Plus 701, and I literally walk you through everything. Okay, so it's a certification that you can knock out in 90 days. You just gotta lock in, just trust me. So remember how on the last slide I was talking about the DoD 8570, which is now the DoD 8140. This is just a little bit more information just to break it down what it is. So there's different levels of DoD 8570, and the Security Plus certification falls in IAT level 2. So you'll see on a lot of different job postings where they'll say must be IAT level 2 certified, and that's where the Security Plus falls into. All right, so remember, these are just baseline certifications that the government is going to require you to have to start working these different GovTech roles. So a lot of people, they'll have experience already, they'll apply to GovTech roles, and they don't have the certs, and they wonder why they don't get any callbacks from any recruiters, and this is usually why. All right, the IAT level 1 through 3 certifications, they focus on technical implementation, so that's really where you're going to be at for when it comes to help desk or system administration roles, even cybersecurity roles as well. And then you have IAM, which is going to be for management positions. So if anybody's interested in like cybersecurity management roles, even some technical project management roles, those certifications are going to fall in IAM level 1 through 3. And the IASAE and CSSP tracks, they cover specialized architecture and security roles. Again, you're just getting started. You really don't even need to worry about this right now. All you need to do is worry about getting the CompTIA Security Plus, right? It's going to be your first step of getting into GovTech, but I just wanted you to know what the DoD 8570 was, so you're not confused whenever you see IAT level 2, IAT level 3 on the job postings, right? You want to make sure you understand what that means. So after you get your Security Plus certification, step number 2 is finding and applying for GovTech roles, right? So of course, after you got your GovTech resume all set up and all ready to go, you're going to want to start applying for different jobs. I highly recommend that you start applying for jobs on clearancejobs.com. That should be the main place that you focus on. And the reason why you want to focus on clearance jobs is because this is where the government contractor companies that I talked about earlier, this is where they're posting their job postings. So when you apply here and you apply early, you typically start to hear back, and they're looking for people that can fill these entry-level help desk roles. So I've shown you so much information so far about GovTech, and I'm sure you're wondering, how can I find jobs that are sponsoring government security clearances? Because I don't have one yet. Some people already went to the military and got a government security clearance that way, or some people got a government security clearance by working for the federal government or a government contractor company. So maybe you're like me. When I started working in GovTech, I didn't have a government security clearance either, and this is exactly how you find a company that's going to sponsor you for one. So first thing you want to do is come here to clearancejobs.com, and once you come to clearancejobs.com, you want to type in ability to obtain. And the reason why you're typing ability to obtain is because you want to find the jobs that are going to sponsor you for a clearance. So the phrase that you'll look for on the job posting is must have the ability to obtain government security clearance. All right, so as you can see here, right in the title, one right at the top, this is an electrical engineer role, but it says ability to obtain secret clearance, right? So we're already on the right track. Now if we keep scrolling down here, let's see if we can find some entry-level GovTech roles. Maybe, let me see here, this is a deployment technician role with NOAA, and it should be a tech role. It's with Cyber Data Technologies. Let's see what they're asking for. Nope, this is not what we want to look for. It doesn't have anything about sponsoring a clearance, so let's go back. Let me keep scrolling down here. All right, here's a field technician slash installer. This is a junior level role, so it's entry level, and now here we see it right here at the top, able to obtain a public trust. So a public trust is not really full-blown clearance, it's really just a background check, but this is what you're going to be looking for, right? And as we scroll down here, must be able to obtain suitability and maintain a public trust background check, and that's exactly what you're going to look for. So I'll find one more that's actually sponsored sponsoring, let's say, a secret clearance. All right, so here's one right here. I've seen this one before. Computer system analyst, the IT role. This is entry level GovTech. So let's scroll down here, and here we go. Must be able to obtain a secret security clearance. And that's exactly what you're going to be looking for on these job postings. When you're looking for jobs, they're going to sponsor your clearance. And then also, I want to call this out too. It says that you need to have one of these 3 certifications below. And look, we see CompTIA A+, Net Plus, or the Security Plus. And remember, I told you the government, they really value certifications, and you must meet these criteria. So the only way that you would even be able to be qualified to apply for this job is if you had one of these 3 certifications, okay? So a lot of people try to get jobs in GovTech. They have no idea what the certifications are. They have no idea how to find these job sponsoring clearances. And then that's why they typically just get a bunch of rejections. They're usually applying to jobs that already require clearances, and that's why you don't have any luck getting a GovTech job. Now, if you already have a government security clearance, of course, you could just go and apply for jobs that require you to have the clearance that you already have. And you can also get your clearance upgraded too. So let's say, for example, you had your secret clearance and you wanted to get a top secret clearance. There are some roles on here as well that will upgrade your clearance too. So let me find this one. This is a clear DevSecOps engineer role. This is probably not going to be entry level, but I just want to show you what it looks like. So this role here says that you have to have a secret clearance already, and you must be able to obtain a top secret SCI. So that just means that they're going to upgrade your clearance to the next level. So that's 2 examples of it. And I also want to show you why you don't need to make an account to apply for these jobs that are sponsoring clearances. First, what you want to do is click on apply now. And once you click on apply now, it's going to say you're applying for the job below. And this is an external link, and you're going to be redirected to an external page. Okay. Now, once you get here on this site, this is Amentum's website. And once you actually apply for this job, just make sure you give Clearance Jobs credit, right? We love Clearance Jobs. They have the #1 job board where you can actually find jobs that are sponsoring clearances. So when you apply to the job and the company asks you, where did you find this job at? Please take the time out and say that you found it from a job board and select Clearance Jobs, okay? So that gives them credit, and we definitely want them to continue to have credit so they get all of these great job postings. So next, if you want to get a job with the federal government, you want to come to usajobs.gov, right? So this is the federal government website, and almost every single federal government agency posts jobs here. So what you want to do to find GovTech jobs on this site is type in 2210, and 2210 is the IT job series. All right, the federal government, they're a little weird. They love numbers and everything, kind of similar to the military. They love numbers and acronyms and all of that. For the IT job series, it's 2210. But if you ever forget, you literally can just type in IT. It usually will come up. IT specialist is one of like the most common roles that you will look for. When you find these jobs on here on the federal government website, these jobs, for the most part, almost every single one will sponsor you a government security clearance, and the federal government does not require you to have a degree either. So that is something that you definitely need to know when it comes to applying to jobs for the federal government. But I do want you to know as well that the federal government, even though you don't need to have a degree, they do require you to have experience, or to be able to say the experience that you previously had is transferable to this role. So then that way they know that you're qualified and you're a good fit. So if we scroll down here to the job duties and sometimes into the requirement section, they'll show you what type of qualifications they want you to have. So here it says utilize knowledge of IT principles, methods, and security regulations and policy, implement procedures to ensure protection of information transmitted to the installation, administer the ComSec program. So this looks like a sysadmin role and maybe mixed with a little bit of cybersecurity as well. Basically, what you want to do is just make sure you actually have this type of experience before you apply to these jobs. And that's pretty much all you need to do to find jobs that are sponsoring you for a government security clearance, or just find jobs that are within the GovTech space, so that way you can apply to them and start landing your first GovTech role. And then you have LinkedIn, Indeed, and Dice as well, where you can find more positions that government contractors are posting. So you have different places that you can go for these positions to apply to. So then when you're applying to these jobs, right, you got to make sure that your resume is tailored to a job. So let's say you find a job that you want to apply for. You want to make sure that your resume is well tailored. You want to make sure that your resume hits all of the keywords, as many as possible, right? You don't want your resume just to be like a keyword, like just slop, right? You want to make sure that your resume hits as many keywords as you can that relate to the experience that you have, or any previous labs or courses or certifications that you have. So if you have these keywords, this is going to allow you you to have your resume picked up by the applicant tracking system, also known as an ATS, where the recruiters will see your resume. Hopefully they're impressed by your resume and what you have on there, and they'll reach out to you for a screening call. So when you're making your GovTech resume, the key things that you want to make sure you have on there is your professional summary relating your current skills to what you're going to be doing in GovTech, right? So if you're looking for a help desk role, how can your current skills and experience help for help desk positions, right? Talk about troubleshooting, talk about how you like to solve problems, talk about how you like to make sure that the customer is always happy, things like that. And then you also want to make sure that you have your technical skills listed. You also want to make sure that your certifications are listed, right? Remember, you need that Security Plus, and you want to make sure that all of your job experience highlights how your current experience that you have will translate into a technical role. All right, those are the key things that you need to have on your resume. Now let's dive deeper into government security clearances, what they are, and the clearance background process. So there are about 4 or 5 different types of government security clearances, and I really don't consider the public trust a security clearance at all. It's just a basic background check. It only takes a little bit of time to get. So if you're not familiar with the government sector and how it works, and if you've never heard of a government security clearance, basically a government security clearance is a government doing a more in-depth background check on you, and they're looking into your background. They're looking to see, are you a US citizen? What type of people do you hang out with? Your family, your friends, your close acquaintances. They want to see where you've traveled to. They kind of want to make sure that you're somebody that they can trust with government secrets and classified information. That's the whole goal of a government security clearance while they're going through their background check. They want to make sure that you're trustworthy, right? So they're going to look into your background, and this is the government. They already know everything about you, right? You file your taxes every year. You're submitting in paperwork. Every time you go and travel, you have your passport. So the government already knows where you've been at. They just want to know if you're going to lie to them. Are you going to be trustworthy when it comes to working for the government and getting this government security clearance? So here are the different levels of government security clearances. And this first one, I don't even consider a government security clearance. The public trust is nothing but a basic background check. That's it. It literally takes about 1 to 2 to maybe 3 weeks max to get. So it's really just a basic background check, something that you've done at every single job you've ever worked for before. A secret clearance has a more in-depth background check, and it takes about 3 months for you to get. And then you have top secret clearances that really open up a ton of doors for you. When you go after your top secret clearance, it can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months, unless you end up like myself, where you end up getting an investigator that is super unorganized and loses all of your paperwork. Kind of dated myself a little bit there with the paperwork. Everything now is all electronic, but typically takes about 6 to 12 months to get a top secret clearance. And then you have a next level of clearances, which is top secret SCI with polygraphs. So there are multiple different levels here that you can get. There is a counterintelligence polygraph, which is known as a CI poly. And with the CI poly, pretty much what they're doing is looking to see if you are a terrorist or have terrorist ties. And then you have what they call a full scope lifestyle polygraph, where they're looking all into your life. The government wants to pretty much know every single thing about you, your deepest, darkest secrets. But this full scope polygraph is basically so the government knows that you can't be blackmailed by anybody. That's pretty much what they're trying to determine here with this. And then there's one more level that's above this, and that is the Yankee White clearance, where for people that want to work at the White House, they have a special clearance just for that. And it's called the Yankee White. So these are all the different levels of clearances. If you want to work remotely from home, I suggest that you never go past the top secret level unless you just don't want to work from home anymore. And then if you want to be able to work remotely, secret clearances, you can still find remote roles. Those are available. But with everything that's been happening in the industry, there are a lot of hybrid opportunities available as well. So these are all the different types of clearances. They're not really anything that you should be afraid of. Like I said, if you're not somebody who has terrorist ties, if you're not somebody who would lie to the government, and if you don't have a felony or misdemeanors, you should be just fine. And like I said earlier, if you do have a felony or misdemeanors, it's all case by case. I also have a video with one of my friends, Rakis, and he has a government security clearance, so it is possible. But I definitely suggest that you go watch that video and then watch it to see, his process, everything that he went through, and all the insight that he can give you on what you need to do to get a clearance as a felon. So step 3 to getting your first GovTech job is interviewing and landing the job, right? So at this point, you already have your Security Plus certification. You already have started applying for jobs that are going to sponsor your clearance. And now you've gotten a call from a recruiter, and the recruiter is going to first do a recruiting screening with you, right? So that's the very first thing that you go through when it comes to landing a job in GovTech. The recruiters, they'll either call you or they'll send you an email. So don't be alarmed if you get an email from a recruiter where they're asking, hey, why are you looking for a new job right now? Do you have a security clearance? What type of experience do you have? How soon are you able to start? You know, those type of questions, right? What certifications do you have? Then after you do your recruiter screening, next you'll pretty much have a technical interview. The nice thing about the GovTech industry is that a lot of the interviews are just one round. If you get on an interview and the hiring manager is on there and a couple of other people, typically that'll be the only interview that you will have. But some companies do multiple rounds of interviews, right? Some companies will do 2 rounds of interviews. Maybe you do one first with like the team and then you do one with the hiring manager, or it's flip-flop, right? So at this point in my career, a lot of the interviews that I do are first with the hiring manager, and then they'll be with the rest of the team for me to interview with as well. And then after you end up getting a job offer and crushing that interview, what you're going to do is start your new GovTech job, right? You'll start your GovTech job. You don't have to wait to get your clearance to get started as long as you're getting at least a secret or a top secret. Most jobs that sponsor clearances have unclassified work for you to work on while you're waiting for your security clearance. So you're going to start your new job, and once you get there, the security person will come up to you and they'll say, hey, or they'll send you an email at this point, but they'll say, hey, you know, time for you to start your clearance process. I've just sent you a form, and the form is called the SF-86. Just sent you a form to fill out. Once you fill that out, let me know, and then the clearance process will start. So that's pretty much how it all goes, right? That breaks down the entire process of landing a job that sponsors your government security clearance. Now remember, it's only 3 steps, but those are the steps that you need to take, right? Step 1, get your Security Plus certification. Step 2, get your resume right and start applying for jobs that sponsor government security clearances. Highly recommend clearancejobs.com. And then step 3, start interviewing for these roles. And then once you start your job, you'll actually get your government security clearance. Now we've gone through the full process of how to land your GovTech role, but where are these jobs located at, right? We talked about this a little bit earlier. I talked about how you can get positions in the States, which is called CONUS. So that's just the continental US. There's a lot of different positions in the DC area, which is where I'm from. I'm from Arlington, Virginia. So the DC area has the most amount of GovTech job opportunities available, but there's a lot of other GovTech hubs as well. So there's hubs in Colorado. So Colorado Springs is very, very popular. Space Force is based out of Colorado Springs. Texas is very popular as well. There's different areas in Texas where you can find different GovTech hubs. There's different jobs on the outskirts of Dallas. There's jobs in Houston. And then there's also jobs in Austin in the Fort Hood area. Also, there's jobs in El Paso as well. A lot of people don't want to go and live in El Paso. There's a lot of opportunity out there in Texas. And then there's also opportunities in another area that I didn't even list on here, but there's an area where there's opportunities called Huntsville, Alabama. And Huntsville, Alabama has tons of positions. There's a lot of jobs being posted in Huntsville right now. So when you're looking for these different roles and you're trying to figure out where these jobs are located, a lot of them are located near military bases or any type of military installation, because you're going to be supporting the government, or you're going to be supporting the Department of Defense or an intelligence agency. So that's typically where they end up having these roles located at. You also can get positions overseas like I did, right? I ended up going overseas at 24 years old to go live in Japan as a radar system engineer. So these positions are considered OCONUS, which stands for outside of the continental US. So there's different positions in Asia, there's different positions in Europe, and there's really positions all over, right? There's positions in the Middle East as well. I have some coworkers that have worked in Dubai. My cousin, he lives and he's working in Kuwait right now. And there's really just positions all over the world, which makes GovTech extremely unique. So when it comes to working remotely in GovTech, you also have remote opportunities as well. But again, that's going to come down to the clearance that you end up holding. Anything over a top secret clearance, you can just kiss remote work goodbye. So always keep that in mind when you're looking for remote work. And when you're working remote, you do need to live in the US, right? This is not like the other tech industries where you could be a remote US worker, but then you go and you're living in Mexico, right? It's not going to work like that, because remember, you're accessing government information and they don't want you to be in an area or a location where you really don't have full control over that information, that data that's going out there. So if you do want to work it remote in GovTech, just remember that you're going to have to live in the US or be in another US territory as well. So the full process of you getting into GovTech and getting into your six-figure GovTech career all starts with the Security Plus certification. So you want to first go after entry-level help desk or IT support roles. I highly recommend that. If you don't have a clearance, help desk and IT support, or you could go after system administrator roles if you're willing to get the Red Hat certified sysadmin cert. The government really respects that certification as well because it's all hands-on. If you combine the Security Plus with the Red Hat cert, sysadmin roles will open up for you too. Once you start out with that entry-level role, you want to start focusing on gaining the right skills, right? Getting hands-on experience at the job and learning the environment that you're working in, learning the ropes of how GovTech works and just how everything works when you're actually working a technical role, right? If you've never had experience before, it's going to be completely different than everything you've done before. Once you start to gain experience, you can start shadowing your coworkers, you can start networking with other people, and just start expanding your horizons and seeing where you're going to go next in your career. Typically, a lot of people nowadays like to go towards cybersecurity, but you can also make that job hop into other fields as well. You could get into cloud, you could get into networking. If you like programming, maybe you like DevOps type of work, or some people are going into AI type of work as well. Whatever it is that you like, you can definitely make that switch next in your career. After advancing past those mid-level positions, you're going to get to senior level positions. And when you get to these senior level positions, that's where things really start to open up at. That's where you start to get to that $200,000 salary mark. And it doesn't take as long as what you think. I was able to make it to $225,000 a year just 3.5 years after graduating college. It didn't take me 10, 20 years to get to the $200,000 salary range. So when you actually utilize your government security clearance and you combine that with those technical skills and certifications that you have, you are able to get these $200,000 roles. Now that's going to be further in your career, but it's just something for you to aspire towards and know that these are real salaries that people are really making today, and it's available to you, but you just have to get started. At this point, I've shown you exactly what you need to do to land your first GovTech role within the next 12 months. If you go in, you follow these steps, you can definitely do it by yourself. But if you feel like this is going to be a lot of work and you would like my expertise and my help, and also the help of my team and other GovTech coaches to help you get your first GovTech role, definitely make sure you fill out the application below in the description, and we'll determine if you're a good fit to work with me and my team. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel by now, definitely make sure you subscribe. I'm always dropping new gems on GovTech, how you can get into the industry and how you can progress in your career as well. Follow me on Instagram too. That's where I talk about even more GovTech information. And now is the time for you to take action. You've seen everything about the GovTech industry. You see the opportunity that's out here, over $100 billion per year being spent on government technology. And now it's just up to you to get the Security Plus certification and start working on your GovTech journey. The information inside of this free course definitely has the power to change your life. I hope that you took notes throughout this entire course, so that way you can come back to it and revisit it when you're going through trying to land your first GovTech role. So now at the end of this course, you've got 3 options. You could let this be another YouTube video that you just watch and don't do anything with. Of course, that comes with some guilt and shame of you not living up to your full potential, because obviously you're somebody who's interested in changing your life. You want to have these opportunities that are going to allow you to make 6 figures to the rest of your life, and you see exactly what you need to do, and it's up to you to take action. You're watching all of these videos, you're not doing anything with the information, but now is definitely the time for you to change. And the second option is for you to use this information that I covered, and you can go take action on all of this information that I gave you inside of this free course today. Now, it's going to be tough, it's going to be difficult and challenging because you've never done this before. I know a lot of people don't know anybody that's ever worked in tech, let alone GovTech, and then you might not even know anybody who has a government security clearance at all. So along the way, while you're trying to break into this industry, you're going to face roadblocks. Things are going to get challenging, and you might not have anybody else to talk to about what you're going through. And I know that's not a fun experience because I've been there before when I was getting into GovTech and I was trying to navigate and figure out how to get to $200,000 a year salary by the age of 25. Nobody was there to show me the way to do that. Nobody in my family had done that before. I was the first person to do it. But luckily, you have a third option where you can work with me and I help you land your first GovTech role within the next 90 days. I give you the exact blueprint that you need need, exactly what you need to do to follow, so that way you can get your Security Plus and start making progress towards landing your first GovTech role. And I know that if you're at the end of this video, then I know that you're serious about this, and GovTech is definitely that career for you. And if we're being completely honest, if you don't have multiple interviews lined up, if you don't have recruiters reaching out to you on LinkedIn, then you definitely need some help, and I'm here to help you with that. So if you click the link below in the description, you can fill out the application to see if you're a good fit to work with me and my team. But I definitely want to help you start making progress and getting success in the GovTech industry, just like the people that I showed you at the very beginning of this video. And you'll be joining hundreds of other students that have successfully broken into GovTech in a fraction of the time compared to how long it would have taken them if they would have tried to do it themselves. So click the link in the description right now to apply to work with me to help you land your first GovTech role. Make sure you like this video so more of my content pops up on your YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe so you see all of my videos on GovTech. I'll see you soon.